Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So on today's video we are going to be making a crop wrap top with puffy sleeves. So these are the measurements we'll be needing. So I folded my fabric into two, and the first thing I'm going to do is to create a starting line. So this starting line is also going to serve as our shoulder line. So from the shoulder line I'll mark my bust height. My bust height is 12 inches. I'll mark it and connect it into a straight line. Then after that, I'll go ahead and mark the length of my blouse. I'm using 17 inches as the length. I'm going to add extra 1 inch for the folding allowance. I also connect it into a straight line. So for this wrap top, we are creating the back pattern first. So what we're doing now is the back pattern. Then after that, I'm going to create my back neckline. So for the neckline, I'm going to use 3 inches for the wideness and 1.5 inch for the depth. Then I connect it into a curve. And then from that folded end, I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder divided by 2 is 7.5. I'll mark it, then come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slants. Then after that, from that shoulder slant, I'm going to come down by 7.8, which is that 7.8 is my chest line. I'll mark my chest line and then connect it into a straight line as well. And there I'll create my armhole. To create my armhole, I'll create a straight line from the shoulder to the chest line. Then on the chest line, I will mark my bust circumference divided by 4. And then I'll connect it to my shoulder with my curved ruler. And that is my armhole, my back pattern armhole. Then, and that is it for the bust. Then on the, I'm going to skip this bust line. I'm not going to mark anything because it's actually not needed. So on the waistline, I'm going to mark my waist divided by 4. I'll mark it, then I'll add 1 inch for the dart allowance and then 1 inch for the sewing allowance. The dart is actually optional, so you can opt to not add a dart to yours. And then I'll connect it into a straight line from my bust to my waist. Then on the waistline, I'm going to mark for my darts, I'm going to mark my bust distance divided by 2 and then add ½ inch on the sides. And for the length of my dart, I'm using 6 inches for the length of my dart. So I'm going to go upwards by 6 inches and then I will create my darts. And after that, I'm going to just go ahead and cut it. So I'm going to use this back pattern as a template to cut the front pattern. So on the shoulder, I'm going to add about ½ inch for this. ½ inch is for the joining, to join the front and the back. If you don't add this half inch, it's going to affect the neckline and the armhole. So after cutting it, I'm going to get a new fabric fold it into two, and then I'll measure my waist. Whatever I get on my waist, I'm going to mark it on the new fabric. So here I'm going to measure my waist, and then you're taking the measurements on that back pattern that you've created already. So what I got here was 10 inches. I'm going to take out 1 inch because I'm not adding a dart to the front pattern. Then I'll mark 9 inch like so, and then connect it into a straight line. And after connecting it, after marking that line, I'm going to place the back pattern on that line, and then I'll go ahead and cut it. So after cutting it, I'll take the back pattern away and then work on the front pattern. You can use a pin to hold it in place, and then you cut it like so. So I'll take the back pattern away, and then I'll work on the front pattern. But before then, I'm going to trace out my shoulder so I don't get confused. Then I'm going to work on my front armhole. Remember, our front armhole is a bit shallower than that of the back. So I'm going to find the midpoint, create the midpoint, and then come on that midpoint. I'm going to come in by 1/2 of an inch, and then I will connect it like so in a curvy way, and then that place that I've connected, I'm going to cut it out, and that is it for the front armhole. And then for the front neckline, I'm going to, from my shoulder, I'm going to come down by 7 inch. I'm going to come down by 7 inches, and that is because I want to show a little bit of cleavage. So if you don't want to show any skin at all, you can make yours 6 inches or thereabouts. So, and then on the other side, on the other folded edge, I'm going to come up by 3 inches, and then I'll connect it from my shoulder to that 2 inches I came up. I'm going to connect it in a curvy form. You can use your free hands to curve it, or better still, use your French curve. And then I'm going to slash it into 2. The reason why I came up by 3 inches is because this blouse is going to have a rope that I'm going to tie around. So now that I'm not cutting, the next thing I'm going to do is to go and join my darts, and then I will also join the front to the back pattern. Join the shoulders and also join the darts. So guys, I'm done joining my shoulders. The next thing I'm going to do is to use a bias tape and turn the neckline. I'm going to turn it. Can you either use your bias tape, or you can turn the fabric itself, but for a neater look, I would recommend you use a bias tape. And then after that, I'm going to join the sides, and also I'm going to also join the hem as well. So while joining the sides, I'm going to leave a space on one of the sides. That space is where my rope is going to pass through. One of the ropes is going to pass through. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and cut my sleeves. So for the sleeves, I already have 26 inches as the length. This 26 inches I'm going to I added is 20. My sleeve length is 24, and I added extra 2 inches for the elastic band casing. So to cut your sleeve, you're going to mark your cap height. To get your cap height, you divide your bust circumference divided by 12, and then you mark your cap height. Then after that, I'm going to mark my my armhole. You measure your armhole and then you mark it. So for this sleeve, I want it to have a little gathers at the shoulder. So after marking my armhole, I'm going to add at about 1.5 inches, extra 1.5 inches to that, and then 1 inch for the sewing allowance. And then I'll connect that to look at what I'm doing. I'm just going to connect it in that form, and then after that I'm going to look for the midpoint, and then from that midpoint I mark my midpoint, and then I will curve it in that form. You use your curved ruler to curve your armhole in that way. So you're just really going to make like an S shape. If you can use your free hand to do this, then do that, but if not, use your armhole. And then because this sleeve is going to be, because I want it to be really puffy, I'm not going to shape it or anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and just cut it straight downwards like so. My sleeve is not going to be fitted at all, so I'm just going to cut it straight. Then I'll use this to cut my second sleeve. Fold my fabric again and then place it on it and cut the second sleeve. So yeah, that is it for the sleeves. So after cutting it, I'll go ahead and fold the edge for my elastic, the elastic casing. I'm going to fold it by half and then 1 inch, and then I will sew it that way. So after folding it in, the next thing is to pass our elastic through that casing. So you take your elastic and then you measure your wrist, cut out the amount of elastic that you need, then use your safety pin to pass it through the casing. So while passing it through the casing, when you get to the end, one end of the elastic, you should I'm going to hold it with the pin. This is so that it doesn't go into the casing. If it does that, then I'm definitely going to start afresh. So you hold it in place and then you go ahead to pass it through. After passing it through, I'm just going to join the sides of the sleeve. So, and yeah, this is our sleeve. I've joined the sides by the 1 inch allowance that I added when I was cutting. Then I turn it inside out. So the next thing I'm going to do is to attach my sleeve to my bodice. So I get it and then I'll pin it down first before taking it to the sewing machine. So you attach it like so. The reason why I'm going to pin this down before taking it to my sewing machine is because remember I added extra 1.5 inches to this sleeve because I want a little gathers at the shoulder. So I'm going to pin it this way, and then the extra fabric that is remaining, I'm just going to gather it at the shoulder end. So what I'm going to do is that I'll take it to the sewing machine, and then I start sewing. And when I get to that shoulder part, then I'm going to make tiny gathers and then sew it like so. After fixing my sleeve, I'll cut out a rope and then I attach it to that end. So yeah, that's it guys. I already fixed my sleeve, cut out my rope and attached it to the end. So and that's it for our wrap top. So easy to make. The wideness of the rope was 5 inch, then I folded it and then attached it to the bodice. And that's it guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you.